IRS officer. He is the President's Scout Awardee and was a Rotary GSC scholar to Finland. He is a voracious reader of books and has a literary bent of mind leaning towards the arts. And he is a Freemason brother for us. We are all part of the Masonry. And soft spoken, a person unaffected by his official, exalted official status. He comes across as a genuine and warm person. For him, positions are ornamental, friendship is sentimental. That's why for 1 hour he has come from Trivandrum. I have no doubt there are many accolades, awards, and laurels that will be coming to him in the years to come. He will definitely go to the board also. And having given a brief idea of our speaker, let me introduce Mr. Selva Ganesh. Please give him a very big hand and over to Selva Ganesh for his practical exposition on the subject.
Shri Murli, Chairman of the CPE program, and Shri Aruloli, our old friends and Chairman of the CPE committee of the SIRC, and my dear friends. At the outset, I'm absolutely thrilled by the very generous words of welcome and appreciation that was showered on me by the Chairman CPE. I do not deserve that at all, but I'll try and share some of my experiences in the department. Actually, there were several points at which I wanted to open, but since he said we'll start at the beginning, the entry in search and seizure, some of the dramatic entries we have made in the course of our career. When I was working in Nagpur, the then Minister of Maharashtra government, we effected entry into his place. As a matter of fact, that very search has so many intimate connections, and again, I would not be able to name the personalities. Some of them were later named in the Adarsh scam also, which means that they have intimate connections with a certain major political party in the country. This particular place is a very small town, and when we enter the town, you have to enter an overbridge. And as we cross the overbridge, the only high-rise building in that entire town, a 4-storied building, was that of the minister, who was a traditional rice merchant. They had the rice mill, they had the rice bran oil extraction plant, solvent extraction plant, and all that. We knew in every search, the initial few minutes are very crucial, especially in this day when the absence of a pen drive could mean the difference between success and failure of a search. And it has been always like that. The first few minutes, if you are not in control of the premises, I will tell you what are the implications that happen later, how the department is made a fool of. So in this particular case, they were so sharp when they saw a convoy of vehicles coming in. They started closing their shop. It had the office in the ground floor and the residences were on top. And the moment they saw a convoy of vehicles coming, they said, this has to be income tax, and the only person here who's likely to be raided is me, and they started closing it. We broke open the doors. We had to go in, and again the same thing happened. We had to break open bathrooms. Allegations that we had harassed or molested people, all that came through. They were trying to destroy a lot of documents, which we recovered from various places, both in the bathroom and outside. Now, that is one of the less dramatic entries. I can see very clearly in the pattern of self-assessment tax payments how assessee tends to postpone it. He uses the money that he owes to the government for his own business. We've seen how state governments tend to postpone their tedious deductions. Large corporations, they are willing to, the cost of paying us is less than the cost of paying to the bank. Therefore, legitimate money which is due to the government is withheld. So the taxpayer behavior here is to withhold tax payment to the extent possible. And that's where the department comes in, to see to that you pay your taxes, not just the right amount, but in the right time. And going further, when we want to do this, you can do what is known as legitimate tax planning, legitimate tax avoidance, and then you come to what we call the psychology of the criminal or the psychology of the man, which leads him, it won't happen to me. You ask any of my assessees, my own relatives, some of them who are major tax evaders anyway, I keep telling them, you file your tax returns, they say, no, no, no. I'll give you this very small example. When my brother-in-law got married, back in 1997 or something like that, he was gifted a car by his father-in-law. Now, that was not accounted. And at that time, I was the Deputy Director Investigation of Tirunelveli, and I used to get the forms saying that without PAN number, this car has been given. Now we get it in the form of AAR, and it has been, it's mapped to the addresses, and the officers do enquiries. So as a friendly advice, I told that father-in-law, uncle, you see, you've not accounted for this. You will probably get a notice from my commissioner. So ensure that you pay it. You know what he said? When the notice comes, let me handle it. And I'm sure if and when it comes, I'll pay my taxes. Now that is the other issue, the reality of tax administration and tax collection in this country. What is the percentage of people who come under scrutiny? Now, many of you might be practicing chartered accountants in the income tax department. What is the percentage of people who come annually for scrutiny? Less than 3%, and actually it is less than 1% of the returns filed during a year. That's a very, very minuscule number. Secondly, how many searches actually do take place in a financial year? Now that would be even less than 0.001%, and therefore the chances of anybody getting caught is very, very low. And today, what is the psychology of us, Indians in particular? Now, every time I go on the road, Kerala has an extremely good network of cameras for speed detection. So if you speed, there are radar-enabled cameras which take a photograph of you if you exceed the legal speed limit. Now, my driver is aware of all the places where this camera is. Therefore, he'll suddenly brake. He'll be accelerating at 100 and suddenly he'll brake. He said, sir, camera ahead. Okay, now, so we are a bunch of people who, in essence, only are threatened if there is a risk of being caught. Every day, when I cross the Sterling Road to go play the Sterling Club in the early hours of the morning around 6 o'clock, no one, including a police vehicle, respects the signal there. We as a nation are very, very, we like risk-taking to a very, very large extent. We are a genius when it comes to risk-taking. As a matter of fact, the progress of income tax legislation itself tells how we have developed ways and means to adopt and interpret the law to our advantage, which is why several sections and deeming provisions have been introduced. In this background, let me now give you certain statistics. When I entered the department, my first search, a declaration of 25 lakhs was obtained and a cash seizure was 2 odd lakhs. That was considered a very good case. When I left Nagpur in 97, a cash seizure of 50 to 60 lakhs and a declaration of about 5 crores or unearthing of concealed income of about 5 crores was considered a possible or a good case. Today, what do you think is the average level of concealed income that is being detected? 100 has become the norm. In my career spanning around 13 years, I had seized more than 100 crores. Now I have officers in 1 year, they are seizing 100 crores. The last cash seizure here was, I think, around 37 crores in one case. Now, what does this point out? That tax evasion continues unabated. And what is this? Why does this happen? As somebody who's had an intimate look at the system, this is something, our Hawala transactions are probably more detailed and elaborate than our banking system. Now, how do they ensure that it happens without fraud? I again remember a time when I was deployed as an authorized officer in a search who was manufacturing tube lights. In that particular house, the reception of the cell phone, my cell phone had failed. So I had his cell phone in my hand. I got a call suddenly, Shekhar bhai. And my instinctive response is, Bola. And he says, okay, 10 peti chahiye. That is 10 lakhs. I need 10 lakhs. ठीक है, आ जाओ. Then another call says, number likh lo. He tells me a note number. Okay, it's a 10 rupee note number that was given to me. I wrote down the number. Within 5 minutes, a guy comes in, presents me the note and says, give me 10 lakhs. We got him, we interrogated him, and then we searched his premises also, which led me to discover that in a very small town, something like Dindukal, there was a Hawala operator whose dealing ran to around 80 crores for one fortnight. What we caught was for a fortnight, and the transaction was 80 crores. How exactly was this possible? You see, from the north, certain manufactured products like automobile spare parts are sent down to the Madurai and different places. And the Kambam Valley produces cardamom, which is sent to UP and different parts of this country. Rubber from here, from Kanyakumari, flows to Bombay and other certain factory areas. Electrical goods flows from Delhi towards the southern parts. So you have all these people who have money that is to be transmitted to Delhi and different parts of the country, and you have other people, rubber buyers from the west and cardamom buyers from the east, who have to transmit money towards south. And the Hawala operators thrive there. No amount of money is impossible for them, and within 5 minutes at nominal charges they'll be able to do. And this has also given rise to another system. I'm sure many of you may be aware of it. Have you heard of the one-day discounting?
Yeah.
One-day discounting business. Are you from Salem, sir? Erode Salem is the hub of this, and you'd be surprised. The transaction that we see per week is 80 crores. Now, what is the point in our income tax department saying, and all of you certifying, that all payments above 20,000 have to be through account pay checks? Oh, that's a joke. For somebody who actually investigates, now I can give a check for 1 lakh, purchase cotton. We have established in searches in in an industry based in Coimbatore, we found that around 8 crores of purchases had been fraudulently obtained. They had issued checks, and the checks were discounted with the one-day discounters. So what does a one-day discounter do? He has got about 20-25 bank accounts. And when you present a check to him, with the connivance of the bank official, he gets the amount credited to him, and he gives you the cash. He takes a small commission, that's all. For probably about 100 rupees per 10,000, he gives you cash immediately, no questions asked. And as far as you're concerned, you have made a payment, and when you go for your audit, tick, that's done. It was paid by check. There is no questions asked. But this is a thriving industry. We have so many such industries. Our learned faculty who preceded me, Vital Raj, was talking about the Harshad Mehta scam. All scams, all frauds, all tax evasion happens not because of absence of systems. Now, what was the problem with the Harshad Mehta scam? Bank securities. Now, bank securities, he was a broker. He was an authorized broker for bank securities, which are traded every day, every hour, in view of the CRR and SLR requirements. Now, he fraudulently sold bank securities which he did not have. Now, who was to check this? Is there no basic reconciliation even for a week, if not every day? Is it not possible for the RBI to net the positions every day and to find out the amount of bank securities that is available in the system? Yes or no? You're all auditors, right? Is it impossible for them to know how many scheduled commercial banks are there and how many brokers are going to be there? Only they are going to be the net buyers and sellers, and at the end of the day, they could simply tally today's transactions are this, and this is the netting position. Had they done that simple plus and minus every day, this scam would not have occurred. Let me also elaborate on certain other cases where the department, as I said, we have a positive genius for misinformation and fraud. I'll talk about a company which was listed here. Again, I will not take the name. It was a software company. It was not exactly a software company to start with, but it was a pioneer in outsourcing in India. And the person who started it could have been another Infosys, could have been another Wipro. He would have been a marquee brand in anywhere in the world because he was a pioneer in the outsourcing industry. But this man defrauded the Indian stock market to the tune of 800 crores. It was listed here as 600 crores, but it was more like 800 crores. Non-existent shares were sold to the gullible public. So this IPO route to cheat people has been one of the ways. And that's why we talked about tax frauds. Not only evasion of taxes, I can list 3 or 4 companies which paid taxes on income they never made. I will give you another example. There was a media entertainment company which maybe about 6 years back disclosed an income of certain amount or was supposed to pay 70 crores of tax. They filed the return without paying their self-assessment tax. Now, after investigations, we found that this company never made the profits. Today, we also have so many companies that have cropped up, which 5 years back did not exist. But today they own assets of 100 crores, 1,000 crores, or 10,000 crores. Let me also ask you, in this country, what is apparent is not real. Do you agree with me? What is apparent is not real. How much of real estate in Chennai is owned by, do you know who owns the real estate in Chennai? No, it's a question that doesn't talk about politicians. It transcends that. Very serious questions have to be asked as to who owns certain assets. Let me ask you again this question. This is parliamented. This has been tabled in the parliament, and I'm free to discuss this. Who owns Jet Airways? Any individual, can you tell me who owns Jet Airways? Sorry? Maran. Come on. Mr. Naresh Goyal is the CFO, CEO. He does not own a major share in Jet Airways. Now, Jet Airways, according to a report tabled in the parliament, is owned by a company called Tailwinds International. And where is this Tailwinds International incorporated? In British Virgin Islands. And where does this, is it incorporated? It's the address of this company is postbox number 14, British Virgin Islands. So who owns Tailwinds International? A question that you should ask. And I will ask you another question. When our skies were first opened up, the policy of bringing private investment into flights was brought in. There was an airline called East West Airlines. And Thayab, the MD of that company, was shot dead. Now, this is very intimate, connected to all this. Who shot him? I'll give you a choice. Was he shot dead by Chota Rajan, or was he shot dead by Dawood Ibrahim? We don't know. Either one of them killed him. Okay, both of them claim to have killed him. Now, what does this have to do with ownership of Jet Airways? I will only ask you to see the whole picture. As I said, what officially is stated is that Tailwinds International owns, a postbox owns Jet Airways. Now, who finances that? 2 banks in Saudi Arabia financed it. It's got a Dubai connection. Beyond that, if I say anything, I'm liable to be held for libel, right? But we connect the dots and we can see the larger picture. When I talked about Chota Rajan and Dawood Ibrahim, the amount of money they handled per month in Bombay during those years was about 300 crores. We are talking about 90s. I don't think our friend Dawood Ibrahim has been in this country from before, after 1990, he's not been in the country. Yet, he's been able to command and control a parallel economy that produced hundreds and hundreds of crores. Now, that is what we are faced with. And that is the reason why we need, and this is why the department has the stronger. The department today is the last resort in the fight against criminals like this. As I said, we have brought to book. My own team has been at the forefront where we have nailed